Hello and welcome, my dear grade 10 advanced students, to my channel Mathematics Made Easy. Today's video is a EOT exam coverage revision, especially for grade 10 advanced who are going to give the exam next month. In this session of revision, we are revising Module 2 Quadrilaterals. It's a very important video as I will be covering all the lessons 2.1 to 2.6 with the important EOT coverage. We will also be doing in great detail the steps, the theorems, everything that you need to show while you solve a question of FRQ and the important steps on working so that you get full marks in your coming exam. So make sure you watch the video till the end and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Do share this video with all your grade 10 advanced students who are going to give the exam. First question, which is in your EOT, this is from the first lesson, lesson 2.1, angles of polygon. So in this one, we are going to use the concept of the sum of all interior angles of a polygon. So the formula, first I'm going to write, so the sum of all interior angles of a polygon is given by n minus 2 multiplied with 180 degree, where n is nothing but the number of sides of the polygon. So if you see this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So n is going to be 5. And if we calculate, our n minus 2 is going to be 3. So if we apply it in this formula, 3 multiplied by 180 degree, that's going to be giving us 540 degrees. So this is the formula that I'm going to be using. If you see for this pentagon, you are given all the 5 angles in terms of x, or some of them value is also given. So let's add all of these angles which are given in this question, and then we are going to make it equal to 570. That's how we are going to get our x. Okay, so I'm going to take all of these angles, angle J plus angle K plus angle L plus angle M plus angle H. All 5 angles of this pentagon, when I add them, I'm going to get the sum 540 degrees. It is coming from the formula which I use above. So let's put the value. Angle J is 142 degrees. Angle K is given to be 2x. Angle L is given to be 3x plus 14. Angle M is also equal to 3x plus 14. Angle H is equal to 2x. And this all, if I add, I get 540 degrees. So let's solve it. Now, when we solve it, we are going to combine the like terms. If you see 2x and 2x, these are common. Similarly, it is repeated 3x plus 14 and 3x plus 14. So we are going to combine them together. And when we solve them, we get 142 degrees. I'm keeping this angle same. 2x and 2x gives us 4x. And if I multiply 2 with 3x plus 14, this I have done because 2 times it is there, so it's like multiplication, and that's also going to be equal to 540. So let's open the bracket, do distributive. So this is going to be 142 plus 4x plus 2 multiplied with 3 is 6x plus 2 multiplied with 14, that's 28 degrees, equal to 540. Now to solve this equation, we are going to collect the like terms. So 4x plus 6x, I'm going to combine, that's going to give me 10x. Remaining my 142 degree plus 28, I'm going to add, and then I move it to the other side. So this is going to give me 3x equal to 370 degrees, or my x is 30 degrees. Now, once you have got the value of x, you can find any angle in the question. So J is already given, angle H and angle K both are equal to 2 times x. So 2 multiplied with 37, x is 37. So this will come out to be 74 degrees, and angle L and angle M are equal. This is 3x plus 14. So plug in, substitute the value of x. So 3 times 37 degrees plus 14, this is going to give me, use your calculator, 88 degrees. So this is how we find the measure of each interior angle of the pentagon HJKLM. let's solve one more question of similar kind. Question 3 we are going to solve now. Again, question 3 also is a pentagon. So I know already by the previous theorem that the sum of all interior angles of this pentagon is going to be 540. So now I take all the angles. This shape, this pink marking tells you this is right angle. Angle B is also right angle. So if I add angle A plus B plus C plus D plus E, all the 5 interior angles, it's going to be n minus 2 times 180 like the previous. N is 5, so this sum is going to be 540 like the previous question. Now we put the values. Angle A and angle B are 90 degrees, both are right angle. Angle C is given to be 2x minus 20 degrees. Angle D is given to be x. Angle E is given to be 2x plus 10 degrees. So all of this is equal to 540 degree. Now to solve this, we are going to collect the like terms. So 90 and 90 will give you 180. Then 2x with x and another 2x. So 2 plus 2, 4 plus x, 5x. And then there is minus 20 and plus 10. So this is minus 10. We subtract and that's equal to 540. Now again, let's take the like term. So 5x I'm going to keep here. 180 and minus 10 will give you 170. When it goes on the other side, it will subtract. So we are going to subtract 540 with 170. So this is going to give us 370. And now to get my x, I'm going to divide 370 with 5. So x is 74 degrees for this question. Now the question asks to find the measure of each angle. So I have less space here, but I'm sure you all can find x. This one is coming out to be 74. Similarly, angle E, if you want to find, it's 2x plus 10. So wherever there is x, plug in 2 times 74 plus 10, you solve it. So your angle E comes out to be 158 degrees. I'll just highlight the important information. Now some of you will do the mistake. You will just apply this theorem. You will get your x and you will feel the question is complete. No, please read the question carefully. It is asking find the measure of each interior angle. So A, B, C, D, E, all angles you have to give. Angle A and B is quite easy because it's both 90. Angle D you have found 74. Angle E is 158. Now let's go and find angle C. Angle C is 2x minus 20. In place of x, I'm going to plug in my calculator 74. And now you can just solve this. So finally, your angle C will come out to be 128 degrees when you use your calculator. Okay, so the final answer, you have to give all the angles A, B, C, D, E. Please keep that in mind. Now, before I go to the next question, if we look at the first question here, the only difference here is that in this question, it is given to be a quadrilateral. Okay, it's not having 5 sides. So if when I take the value of n is going to be 4 because of the 4 corners, 4 sides. So n minus 2 times 180. This is the sum of all interior angles. That's the first theorem that we used. So sum of all interior angles of this polygon will come out to be 2 times 180. So this time the sum is going to be 360. So to solve this question, you will add all the angles Q plus T plus S plus R and make it equal to 360. Now if you notice here, angle R and T are same. So it will give you on adding 2x and the remaining two angles value is mentioned. So carefully, without doing a sign mistake, you are going to add all of these angles and make it equal to 360. Then like always, you will use your algebra to collect the like terms, solve, and your x will come out to be 58 degrees for this question. Again, you will then follow the steps shown like in the previous question and give the value of angle Q and angle S also. Okay, your angle Q will come out to be 121 degrees if you solve it carefully using calculator, and angle S will come out to be 123 degrees. Angle R and angle T are equal to X, so that's 58. That's how you solve these kind of questions. Okay, now let's solve these questions. Now all of these 6 questions are from the lesson 2-3 test for parallelogram. So I had told you when I was teaching you this lesson that whenever you get a question where you need to check whether the given figure is a parallelogram, means you have to apply the tests of parallelogram. Now in this one we have done so many tests, so we are going to apply them one by one, and when we do we will get an answer yes or no. If this question comes in your exam, you are going to write the answer yes or no, but you have to also justify your answer. Means you need to mention the theorem, the statement, or the test of parallelogram that you use to give your answer. So let's start with the first one. Here I'm going to use theorem 7.12, where the quadrilateral is a parallelogram because of a pair of opposite sides being parallel and congruent. So if you see the first question, you have this pink mark telling that this side is parallel to this side. Also, you have another mark which is showing you that it is equal as well. So if one pair of opposite side is parallel and congruent or equal, then definitely it passes the test of the parallelogram, and the answer will be yes, that it is a parallelogram. So do mention the theorem 7.12 statement when you justify your answer to get full marks. So the answer for question 1 is yes, a pair of opposite sides is parallel and congruent. That's the reason. So let me just write a pair of opposite side is parallel and congruent. I have less space, so I'm just writing using the mathematical symbols and shortcuts, but when you mention, do mention the whole sentence. Okay, next is question 2. Now here you see the marking is given that this angle is equal to this angle and this angle is equal to this angle. So we can see that the opposite angles are given to be congruent. So yes, it passes the test for the parallelogram. So we can say that because both pairs of opposite angles are given to be congruent, they have the same measure, therefore yes, it will become a parallelogram. So 1 and 2 pass the test. Let's see question 3. Now in this you are just given one condition, that this side and this side are equal, they are congruent, but is anything mentioned about the sides being parallel? No, it's not mentioned. So it's kind of an incomplete statement. So definitely it will not be a parallelogram because it does not pass the test for parallelogram regarding the opposite sides being equal or congruent and parallel as well. So answer is no. Let's see the next one, question 4. Here if you see, you are given that this side is equal or congruent to this side and the opposite side are also congruent. So yes, definitely it will pass the test for the parallelogram, and the reason is because both pairs of opposite sides are given to be what? Equal or congruent. So yes, it passed the test of the parallelogram. Next one, question 5. If you see, here you are given about the diagonals. So this part of the diagonal and this part, the two parts are equal, and the other diagonal also, the two parts are equal. That means the diagonals are bisecting each other. So the answer for this will also be yes, that this quadrilateral which is given is a parallelogram, and the reason is because it passed the test, and the reason is that the diagonals bisect each other. Let's do the last one. Here you are given that this side is parallel to this and the other one is equal to the other one. But if you see, for a given pair of opposite sides, that the condition that it is both equal and parallel is not satisfied. So here the test fails. For question 6, the answer is no. None of the theorems regarding the conditions for parallelogram for the test is passed. So therefore, it will not be a parallelogram because none of the tests apply to this one, or it is true. So therefore, no, it is not a parallelogram. Now, before I go to the next one, I'd like to just remind you When I teach you in the class, I always tell you this, that learn the theorems, learn the statement, and you have to mention it for FRQ. So from this lesson, test of parallelogram, I will just show you in the next slide the list of all the tests, and I want you to learn and remember them, and please write them if you want full marks for FRQ. Okay, so just to remind you, this is the slide I'm talking about that I have discussed with you in the class. You need to learn all of these theorems, and if you get a question where you need to check, you need to test for a parallelogram, you must learn, write, and mention the theorem that you use. Okay? So now I'm providing you the final answer key and the reason that you should mention while you solve the questions where they ask you to check for a parallelogram and to justify your answer. Remember that if you don't mention the theorem, the rule that you use, it will be treated as an incomplete answer and you will lose your marks. So please learn the test for the parallelogram and do mention the reason as you see on your screen why it is a parallelogram, why it is not a parallelogram. Moving on, let's solve from lesson 2.5 rhombi and square these questions. Very easy, just we have to make sure that we are applying the right property. So look at the figure, A, B, C, D is given to be a rhombus. So all the properties that you have studied in the lesson 2.5, let me write, that was rhombi and square will hold true for this question. So in the first part, if you see, measure of ABD is given. So let's mark in the figure. Labeling is very important in geometry question. So this is 60 and we need to find the measure of BDC. BDC, this angle we need to find. So which property do you think we are going to be using? We are going to be using the theorem 2.16. I have mentioned here a screenshot. If a parallelogram is a rhombus, then each diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angle. What are the two diagonals? One is BD, this one, the other is AC. So I'm just drawing BD because this diagonal, it bisects the pair of opposite angles. So this angle and this angle are going to be equal. Therefore, for answer 1, I can write angle ABD is congruent to angle BDC, the one that we need to find. They both are equal by applying this theorem. Therefore, their measures will also be equal. So the measure of angle BDC is going to be equal to the measure of angle ABD, and it is already given in the question to be 60 degree. That's how you do it. Now let's come to question 2 here. Again, we are going to do the labeling. Let me use a different color. So AE is given to be 8. So the half of the diagonal, this is given to be 8. Now you know the property that the diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other. They divide into equal parts. So if this is 8, this is also 8. We need to find the length of the diagonal AC. So AC is made up of AE plus EC. But then as we see, both are equal in length. So if one is 8, the other is 8. So add both of them. So your length of AC comes out to be 16. That's how you solve. Which property did I use? Diagonals bisect each other. Make sure you always mention the property. Similarly, you can do the remaining parts. In the next slide, I will provide the answer key for the solution. So this slide shows you the answer key for the first 4 questions from the lesson rhombus. Similarly, you can solve the remaining parts. Do remember to mention the theorem or the property that you use while you solve the question. Important. Okay, so let's now come to lesson 2.6. This is trapezoid and kites. In this question, we are going to use the solved example number 5, where we have to find the mid-segment and use coordinate geometry to find its endpoint. Now, before we do this question, let me define again the mid-segment of a trapezoid for you. So, the mid-segment of a trapezoid is the segment or the line that connects the midpoints of the legs. So, definitely, while we find the segment endpoints, we are going to use the midpoint formula, that is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So when this question comes in your exam, make sure you do mention midpoint formula to get full marks for the steps. Now, in this question, the graph is also given, so it's also a question on coordinate geometry. If you are lucky, A, B, C, D, the four coordinates will already be marked for you. As you see in this question, the four coordinates are given along with the graph. Now, you're also given which segment is parallel in this trapezoid. So, let's see. AD and BC, this one and this one, they are parallel to each other. So remember that the mid segment would also be parallel to these two bases, and it will connect the midpoints of the legs. So this is the first leg, this is the second leg. So I have to calculate the midpoint of AB, I have to calculate the midpoint of CD, and when I join them, this segment which I get is the mid segment of the trapezoid. So I repeat, to find the mid segment, to find the endpoint of the mid segment, you'll use midpoint formula along with the fact that the mid segment is going to be the parallel to the other two sides. Okay, so first you are going to find the midpoint of AB, that will give you one endpoint, then you find the midpoint CD. So let's see how we solve this in the next slide. So as I already explained you, we are going to use the midpoint formula in this question, and these midpoints are the endpoints of the mid segment of the trapezoid. So I am now going to calculate the midpoint of A and B. So the formula is 0 plus 18 divided by 2 for the x coordinate and 8 plus 8 divided by 2 for the y coordinate. So 9 comma 8, this is one of the endpoints of the mid segment. To get the other endpoint, we need to find the midpoint of CD. So let's use the midpoint formula one more time. For the x coordinate, 1 plus 20 divided by 2. For the y coordinate, 4 plus 0 divided by 2. So here it comes out to be a decimal. The other endpoint of the mid segment would be 10.5, 2. So the final answer, when you give along with the steps, you give both the endpoints 9, 8 and 10.5, 2. So that completes the question on the endpoints of the mid segment. Okay, next question is from lesson 2.6, trapezoids and kites. So let's solve this question. Here we are going to use coordinate geometry. So if you see, you are given a trapezoid ABCD in the figure, and this is shown on the graph sheet. So even though the points A, B, C, D, these coordinates are not given to you, you can find them easily using the graph. So let's first find the points, the coordinates for A, B, D. So how do we find? For point A, we first go to x-axis. This is the point. It's minus 3. For the y-axis, it is this point 2. So what is the coordinate of point A? Minus 3, 2. You can mark it on the figure also, on the graph also. Please make sure that you are marking these points, you are calculating the coordinates carefully, because if you do a mistake in the coordinates of A, B, C, D, then your final answer for the end points of the mid segment will be wrong. Okay, let's come to point B. So point B has x coordinate same, minus 3. Now if we call about the y coordinate, it is below the x axis, so it's going to be this point, which is again minus 3. So minus 3 comma minus 3, these are the coordinates of point B. Next, point C is on the x axis, so definitely the y coordinate is going to be 0 for this point. Let's calculate x coordinate, 1, 2, 3. So 3 comma, this is how you are going to calculate the coordinates. Last but not the least, D is 1. Okay, so once you get your correct coordinates, now you're going to see what are the two sides of the trapezoid which are parallel. It will always be given in the question. So in this trapezoid, AD is parallel to BC. Let's mark. So this one, AD is parallel to BC. That means my mid segment will be passing through AB and BC. So I have to calculate the middle point of this line. I have to calculate the middle point here, and then when I join them, this is how my mid segment is going to look like. However, we don't have to find the length of the mid segment or any value. We just have to find the two endpoints. Okay. So let's calculate. Now by definition, mid segment is the line which is parallel to this side and it is in the middle. Okay, so it is joining the midpoints of AB and CD. So let me write mid segment joins the midpoints of AB and CD. It is in the middle. So therefore, I'm going to use which formula? Midpoint formula. So midpoint formula is you take the x coordinate of the 2 points, add them, divide by 2. Take the y coordinates, add them, divide by 2. So I'm going to use this midpoint formula for finding the endpoints of the mid segment. So which point I will take for the x coordinate? I'm going to take, first I need to find this midpoint, the first one. So to find the first midpoint, I will take point A and B. Okay, let me divide in two parts. So A is minus 3 comma 2, B is minus 3 comma minus 3. So let's take the x coordinate. If I take x coordinate minus 3 and minus 3, so I add them and then I divide by 2. Now make sure both are negative. So minus 3 and minus 3 will give you the result as negative. So it will be what? It will give you minus 6 divided by 2, which is again minus 3. So this is the x coordinate. Now if I want the y coordinate, I will use 2 and minus 3. So I add 2 with minus 3 and I divide by 2. So this is going to give me minus 1 by 2. So my first endpoint for the mid segment will be what? X coordinate minus 3, y coordinate minus half. I can also convert to decimal. So the answer for the first endpoint for the mid segment will be minus 3 comma minus 0.5. Now I need to find the second one, which is this point. So between C and D. So therefore I have to find the midpoint of C and D. Let's write the point again. C is 3 comma 0. D is 1 comma 4. So let's find midpoint. So 3 plus 1 by 2. 0 plus 4 by 2. This will be the midpoint. I'm using midpoint formula. So 3 plus 1, 4 divided by 2, this is 2. And 4 divided by 2 is again 2. So what is the second endpoint? 2 comma 2. So the final answer for this question for the two endpoints of the mid segment joining AB and CD is minus 3 comma minus 0.5 and 2 comma 2. So this is how you will find the endpoints of the mid segment and solve the question for the trapezoid ABC. Okay, moving on, let's go to learning objective 22. This is from the lesson of rectangles. Here you are going to recognize and apply the properties of rectangle. So to apply them correctly, we have the figure given and we have some measurements given as well. So let's solve this question now, and first step to solve such a question is to do the labeling of the given information in the figure. So let's mark in the rectangle which is given all the angles, and then we are going to find the value of x using some of the basic properties of the rectangle. Okay, so the important key information is the measure of angle ADB, which is given here. So I'm going to mark it ADB. So this angle is given to be 4x plus 8. Okay. And another angle which is given is DBA. This is 6x plus 12. Let's mark this also. DBA means this one, 6x plus 12. Okay, now I need to find the value of x, and the only information that is given to me is that ABCD is a rectangle. So if ABCD is a rectangle, I hope you remember the property that each angle of a rectangle is equal to 90 degrees. So angle A is going to be 90 degrees. Now, if we look at all the three angles of the triangle, let me just show it to you. A, B, and D. This is the triangle I'm talking about. Then actually this triangle is coming from the rectangle, but if we look at all the three angles, that is angle A, angle B, and angle D, then we definitely know by angle sum property that all these three angles should have the sum of 180 degree. Now out of this, angle A is already 90. So can I say the other two angles when added gives you 90 as well? Yeah. So when we put the values, 90 plus angle B, which is 6x plus 12 plus 4x plus 8, this is equal to 180. So the sum of these two angles definitely is going to be 90. So now we collect the like terms and solve for x. I'm going to combine 6x with 4x, adding gives 10x. 12 plus 8, that gives you 20 degrees, and that is equal to 90. So from here, if we do a little bit of algebra and subtract 20 from both sides, very easily I'm going to get the value of x, which is going to be 7 degrees. That's what you had to find in this question. So basically the only property of rectangle that we used here is that each angle of the rectangle is 90 degrees. It's a right angle, and then we use the angle sum property of a triangle to get my x. Very, very easy. Let's solve some more questions on rectangle. So here you are given quadrilateral EFGH. It is given to you already that this is shape is a rectangle. Now we are going to solve the following questions and see how we can find the measurements of this rectangle. So step 1, mark the angles. FEG, this angle is given to be 57. FEG means this angle. This angle is 57. Then we need to find angle GEH. This angle I need to find. Now, if I add these two angles, means I take the angle FEG and I add GEH. Then what do you think it should be? We are using the same property that each angle of a rectangle is 90 degree. So definitely after subtraction, I can get the value of measure of angle GEH as 90 minus measure of FEG, which is nothing but 57. So just subtract 90 minus 57 and you get your answer, which is 33 degrees. So the measure of angle GEH is 33 degrees. So easy. Next, if the measure of angle HGE, this one, is given to be 13 degrees, then find the angle FGE. Again, we are going to use the same information that when I add these two angles, I get a 90 degree, same property of rectangle, and therefore I'm easily able to find the measure of angle FGE as 90 minus 13, which is 77 degrees. So these two parts, 10 and 11, were on the angles. Now let's solve for the sides or the length. Okay, so in this one, I'm going to now change color. FK means this is a part of the diagonal is given to be 32. We need to find the value of the diagonal EG. Now let me tell you that EG and FH are the two diagonals of a rectangle, and I hope you remember that diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other and are congruent. So this is the property I'm using. Let me write it. The theorem that I use for this last part is that diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other. Bisect means they divide into two equal parts and are congruent as well. So can I say their length is equal? Definitely yes. That means if I divide these diagonals into the two parts which are given, for example, EG has two parts, EK and KG, and FH has two parts, FK and KH. But I also know that the diagonals bisect each other. What does that mean? That means EK is equal to KJ, and even the other diagonal FK is equal to KH. So can I say that all the four parts of the diagonal, this one, this one, this one, and this one, are eventually equal? Yes, that's true. And if that is true, then the big diagonal EG will be equal to EK plus KJ. And both are also equal. One measure is given to be 32. So the other is also 32. So just add them. And the value of EG, the diagonal, will come out to be 64 feet. So the property, the theorem that I use is that the diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other. So these steps are very important, and if you get FRQ, you need to write the property or the theorem that you use. Important. So that brings us to the end of today's revision video, which was especially for grade 10 advanced, based on module 2 quadrilaterals, covering all the important questions from the exam coverage EOT for grade 10 advanced term 1 exam. With that, I request you to subscribe to the channel so that you watch more and more of the EOT revision videos that are going to come, especially before your math exam in the month of November. All the best for your math exam. Do well and take care.